Hello, everyone. Welcome to interview number 3 of High AR Interview Week here at OSU University. So, in case you guys are new or don't know what this is, OSU University is basically this improvement focused OSU hub where our goal is to sort of bridge that gap between top players and the general community. So, in keeping with that theme, something we do here is these series of top player interviews where we dedicate 1 week to a specific topic and we do a bunch of different interviews with different players. And this week, this is the third interview series that we're doing. And this week is all about high AR. So with me today for the third interview of the week is Mr. MightyDoc. Hello. Hello.
Hello. My name is MightyDoc, or you can call me Abdul. I'm a top 50 player. I am a speed player, is what people know me for.
Yes, speedy man.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, definitely I think a lot of people recognize you as a super fast, crazy dude. So yeah, definitely. I want to, for the most part, get your opinion on how people can train high AR and I guess pushing your limits in that regard. But before we get into any of that, I want to ask, sort of in general, well, first of all, I guess, how would you define high AR? And then also, what were your experiences with improving high AR when you were improving as a player?
Okay, so when I define high AR as AR11 because I never found like 10.5, 10.4, 10.3, like any of those really high for me. I was never really capped at that, so whenever I think of high AR, my mind just goes, oh, AR11. And when I started out, it was back in 2019. I wanted to furthermore build my just get out of the skill cap that I was in at the time, and I was like, I'm gonna try like Air 11. It was something I never expected myself to do because it just looked impossible when I would see like Rafis or like older top players doing them. But I would start off with like hard difficulties, like 4 stars with 3 mod, and kind of build my way up. And then I started doing like farm maps that are not too complex, like Reform. Reform is a good example for 3 mod. A lot of my
Oh,
3 mod plays are Reform.
yeah, the farm mapper.
Yeah, he's like for 3 mod. I found him really comfortable to practice just AR11.
So wait, so for context, so you said you started doing this around 2019. So
Yeah,
when did you actually start playing the game?
2017.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I started
Yeah.
April of 2017.
So so when you were playing, like you started playing hard difficulties with AR11, did you have a sort of range of like AR that was comfortable for you at that time? Like what ARs were you
Uh,
comfortable with already?
I'm kind of comfortable with everything. Like now, since I've kind of like know how to like um approach high AR, I guess it's like 10.2, 10.3 is like my comfortable spot, my sweet spot.
Oh, okay.
And when I started, uh, I was a DT one trick, which gave me kind of advantage because I knew high AR from the start because all I did was play DT. So
Okay.
I kind of had that like
Sort
how
of
do I say
background.
it? Yeah.
Right.
So when I started, I like it was difficult. Like it's never gonna be easy. Like any high AR that you first learn, it's never gonna be easy. So I kind of just it just kind of happened. Like it's a lot of memorization is what I think high AR is. It's just memorization and patience.
Do you think that like because when if you say it's a lot of memorization, do you think that there is some or like you can be able to sight read higher ARs at some point?
It really depends on the map. Like if it's a jump map, maybe, but like okay, so actually if you know the map with DT, like with just DT, and you flip like you turn on Hard Rock, you can actually memorize the map somewhat. Like I know a couple of maps that I play them so much that when I play them with 3 mod, I know how the patterns will. AR11 is really hard to sight read though. Like that's just
Right.
like it's really hard,
Yeah.
and I think I think like it's just hard to master that kind of thing because it takes so much brain work. Not a lot of people have that like patience for them to do that.
So, what AR would you say is like a reasonable maximum for you? For okay, so for you personally, what's like the maximum that you are comfortable sight reading for the most part?
Oh, 10.4, 10.5.
Okay, so up until around that range, it is pretty doable to sight
Mm-hmm.
read, right?
Yeah.
Have you? Okay, so do you feel like you practicing AR 11 and then going back down like has helped you? Like, okay, so it's sort of hypothetical question, but like if 10.5 was actually the maximum in the game instead of 11, do you feel like you would still be able to get to the point of sight reading 10.5?
Yeah, because like there's a difference, you know. So like the thing is with 10.3 to 10.5, I don't see that much of a noticeable difference. So it all like kind of reads the same to me.
Okay,
Compared to AR11, you know, it's like a whole different thing where it's really really hard to like it's a different approach rate. It's like it doesn't feel the same. Like it has its own category, I
right.
guess.
That's the yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's valid.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so I want to also ask about I guess like raw speed mechanics and how that sort of connects to high AR. Like, do you think there's any association, or do you think they're kind of separate skills?
I think there's an association, and then a good example is actually Eterna. I mean, everyone knows that he three mods a lot of speed plays. A good one actually is Reunion. It has a lot of complex patterns and bursts. It's a really high BPM map. You have Zevel. Those are like um maps that really have an impact on speed.
Right.
Yeah, and it's really hard to. It's actually more like it's more difficult to three mod speed maps because bursts are actually kind of weird to memorize with AR11. I think that's just me, but bursts are really really weird to like just to memorize and like get good accuracy on. Like it takes a little bit of time.
Yeah, that's something that some of the other people so far in the interviews have mentioned as well. So definitely not alone. But yeah, I think, and let me know if you agree with this or not. But the the way that you process like single taps is a bit different from like bursts.
Mm,
Um, and you sort of like only see one note at like the notes are so fast that like if it's a triple, for example, like you only see one note at a time.
yeah,
So you sometimes don't know that it's a triple until like you're already about to play as a single tap.
yeah,
Right.
and
It,
that's where like reaction time plays a role. Like
uh,
reaction time is really is really like my reaction time is kind of weird with Air 11. It's really inconsistent. It really depends on the day.
do you think there's things
It's
that
weird.
affect like being a good day or a bad day? Like anything outside of OC maybe?
Maybe yeah, maybe you could be tired coming home from a long day of work. You don't really have that focus of trying high AR, so people usually just go to like lower AR and just chill for the day. But like if I'm coming home from a long day of work, I wouldn't wanna, and I wanna grind OC, I wouldn't wanna try high AR if I'm like kind of tired.
Yeah, I think like unironically, one of the biggest things to help with high AR is just like being well rested, um, and like having a decent energy level.
Yeah, and I'm not condoning caffeine use or like, but caffeine and like just pre-workout can actually kind of help with AR11. I've tested that theory and it works because you have that focus and you have that reaction time. You're like your energy boost,
Right.
but just don't like if you're gonna take it, just don't take too much of it.
Yes.
It's
And
yeah,
keep in mind, just as a disclaimer, we're not prescribing anything. Um, we do not prescribe yeah any supplements here at OC University.
it
um,
is
yes, this is for
up to your
educational
own risk.
purposes only.
Up to your own risk.
Yes. Um, okay, so you mentioned memorization with high AR. I want to touch on that a little more. So let's say okay, so let's say I'm like a nomad, like I mostly only play nomad, and I'm struggling to get into hard rock AR10, for example, like it's kind of fast for me.
Hmm.
Do you have? I don't know, it's like general advice, things you would suggest to me.
I usually just play throughout the entire thing. Like I would put on no fail and then just play through the entire thing, and kind of keep retrying until I have a general memorization of the map, and then I'll go for FC. Like that's the way I go about it, is like just retry spam.
Okay.
And dude, one thing I realized about high AR, it's hard to get mind blocked with like the your high AR, I guess. Like with AR 11, it's like I never get mind blocked because I literally cannot process the notes, so I just kind of hit it like subconsciously,
Right.
and like so it's really hard to mind block yourself with that type of AR. So you can retry spam that, and you'll eventually kind of learn the pattern and stuff like that, and you'll get it.
Okay,
It's
that
it's really
yeah.
it's really all about retry spamming.
That's actually a good point, I think, because um yeah, I think if you are getting mind blocked, then the AR is not like at your limit anymore. I feel like.
Yeah, yeah, because you just memorize the pattern so much, and then it's in your head. So you're getting to that point of memorization.
Okay, so another question, sort of, kind of related. So let's say now I've taken your advice. I've memorized a couple hard rock maps and gotten more comfortable with the AR. Would you suggest that I get very comfortable with AR 10 first and then move on to like 10.1, 10.2?
Yeah, yeah, I would give like AR 10 a couple of weeks of learning and learning and learning, and then if it's to the point where it just gets too comfortable, where set the way I see it, when you're able to sight read that AR is when you know you're good at it. Is how I kind of see it.
Uh, okay, actually, do you have any, I guess, pointers for being able to tell whether or not you can comfortably sight read? Because I think there's, and let me know if you agree or not, but there's sort of a difference between like sight reading a more simple farmy type map versus like some tech or finger control map with higher AR.
Yeah. So some maps have like the songs that they use. They're very like you can probably notice this too, but like a lot of the maps have that same flow going, and so like it starts with like the slow part, then the middle part, like the chorus, and then like the hard part, and then the end. And a lot of maps have that same, like Find the Sky for example. It has some jumps, it has a solo, and then it ends. And I know like sometimes you know what's coming. It really just depends on the map and the song. Like if you can like learn that or like know that song and how it plays, you like you know what's coming. It's
Oh,
really weird.
right, right.
Yeah.
So like sort of taking into account or like knowing the song structure
Yeah.
and like yeah. Okay, so would you say that like songs sort of repeat themselves a lot and like
Yeah. 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 A lot, especially in this game. Like um even lately, like there has been a lot of the same flow in these songs. So like you can just memorize that type of thing.
right? Yeah, because I think something that I personally tell people for high AR, like if you're able to recognize like if like every time the same part of the song comes, there's always a triple there, then like
Yeah.
you can sort of expect that. Is that something that you do as well?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's something that I always expect, and it's also just muscle memory. Like, sometimes you just kind of hit it, like you don't even like know, but you just hit it.
Right.
Sometimes it's yeah, it's mainly just muscle memory.
Yeah, definitely. I think like once you practice, especially like once you've practiced a certain AR enough, then you start to get more comfortable. Like unconsciously, you start like playing the repetitions of the song. Like you sort of feel out when a triple is about to come and things like that.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so yeah, any other miscellaneous things that you wanted to mention so far?
For this, not really. No, I mean,
Okay,
again, it's really just kind of mainly memorization and then muscle memory. That's like the 2 pointers that
okay,
I would
so
give.
muscle memory, or so memorization and like sort of gradually working your way up in AR.
Hmm.
Um, so should I go from like AR 10, then 10.1, 10.2, 10.3, or like is it okay to just go straight to like AR 90T?
So I don't really see a difference with 10.1. 10.2, 10.3 are kind of the same. Like they're all that like they're not really there isn't like a gradual like a big difference in between that range. So you can actually play around with that and probably get like be comfortable with it. Like you don't even have to learn it. You'd probably be comfortable with it. It's really not that like it's not that big of a difference, I guess.
Okay, so there's not really a like wall between like each of the ARs. Like you can sort of go between them as you gradually
Yeah,
improve.
yeah, exactly. Like there isn't like it just doesn't feel like there isn't a big difference because like it's not like a whole number, you know. It's like
Right,
literally it's point 0.1.
right,
So the difference is pretty minimal compared
right.
to going from AR10 to AR11. That's a big difference.
Yeah, that is an insane difference.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so other things related to high AR and training high AR that I wanted to mention. One is skins. What are your thoughts on like skins and how they associate with high AR?
Um, I used to think that I mean Rafiskin, like everyone knows, Rafiskin is kind of the way. It just is, you know. It's a good skin to use for high AR. Like like it's good. Yeah, I mean everyone uses. It's it's kind of hard to kind of explain this because like if literally you just ask someone that's like experienced what's a good high AR skin, they're gonna say Rafiskin. It just has that like the it's like the perfect skin for that, and it's so weird like to try and explain. But I think it has to do with like the brightness of like the slider. If like the white circle, the white like slider border, I feel like it has a thing or two about it. It's really weird to explain because you know how like if you're using gamma, you gotta go higher in brightness for it to like actually
Help with
like
high AR, right?
yeah. I feel like that's the same thing that goes with with Rafiskin. I feel like that's how it works.
Yeah, that's interesting because Fancy yesterday during his interview mentioned that Rafiskin is only helpful because it works well with gamma. What do you think about that?
Oh, I don't know. I never really noticed that.
Well, do you think
That's
that that gamma is helpful?
uh for me it was kind of helpful actually. Honestly, it was. I can't say it didn't because I actually used Gamma for a little bit, but like it was in the earlier days of like when I started playing AR11. It's good. I mean, it helps. It's not the best way to learn it, but it works.
Do you think it's something that people should rely on?
No, I
Okay,
think if they want to learn AR11 and play that constantly, um, then you shouldn't use it. But if you're like me, get tilted at AR11 sometimes and just want to do it, I would use Gamma. Just like I guess Gamma is like a shortcut just to help learn the map a little bit faster. I think the
okay,
main thing with Gamma is just learning the map. Like once you learn the map, you really don't need the Gamma anymore. Like it's just that first step. Sometimes you're just too exhausted to learn it with no Gamma,
okay.
and
That's actually true. Yeah, I agree.
yeah, and you have to and people like some people are just lazy, you know. Like no one wants like it's hard. It's a lot of patience. Like Air 11 is not easy, so people will usually just take that shortcut, and it's actually a helpful shortcut. But like, don't overuse it. Like I feel like that's the one thing. Like just don't use it too much. It's just for it's a better way for you to um learn it better, you know, and get that
Right.
muscle memory like improving.
Do, do you think there are any other skins that have helped you with high AR, or like skins that you've tried that really didn't help with high AR at all, or like were bad?
That didn't help.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know actually, cause I don't um like my entire playtime of me playing Air 11, I usually just go with Rapha skin. I
Okay.
like the skin that I use now. The Vaxia skin that I use. It's all right. It's not it's not a significant difference, but it just feels like Rapha skin is like the sweet spot for that
Oh,
thing. Yeah, but I personally I've never tested other skins for AR11, so I can't really like tell or
Okay.
judge by that. Yeah.
But you can definitely say that Raphis's skin has helped you.
Yeah, yeah, for
Okay.
sure. Yeah.
Um, okay, I also okay, so I want to ask about sort of you mentioned that you basically always only play double time. Um,
Hmm.
so okay, do you think that like if you want to gradually get better at higher ARs that you should mostly use double time? Or like
Yeah.
should you use like is hard rock like decent to use as well? Or like should you use double time to get better at AR10 for hard rock basically, or should you just use hard rock?
Oh, if it's just AR10, you might as well like do no mod. There's like R-list maps that you can do that have AR10. There's a lot of maps that you can also edit them to AR10. You don't necessarily need hard rock. But if you want to push that limit and just learn 10.3 and stuff like that, um, then yeah, I would use DT. But I feel like I would uh I would recommend learning AR10 with no mod
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
because the OD and like other that other stuff play a role kind of.
Yeah, like when you turn on hard rock, it's not only AR10 but it's also OD10 and usually like
Yeah.
CS5, CS6. So
Yeah, and when you're starting out, like if you're going straight to hard rock, you can be like, "Why can't I act this? I can read this," and then it kind of like I feel like it ruins that mental
right, yeah,
because
yeah,
you're confused. So I feel like no mods to go.
yeah, I agree. And so you mentioned like playing Arliss type maps. Okay, so this is more of a question of like any type of high AR, but like, do you think that there's certain maps that work better to train? Like, should I just be playing farm stuff, or should I play maps with streams?
Uh,
Or does it even
uh,
matter?
I don't think it really matters. I don't, I don't, I don't think so. Really, it's not really that big of a deal because you're like, you know how, like again, it's muscle memory. So once you learn the AR, it's kind of you know how like the gist, like you know how the gist works. So
Right,
like yeah, so you know how to follow that pattern and stuff like that.
right. Um, okay. Any other things? I guess before the next topic of discussion that I throw out,
Mhm.
and
Oh,
then
you're asking.
yeah,
Oh,
we can also revisit later in the interview if you think
okay.
of anything.
Hmm.
Okay, so yes, I want to also ask about monitor refresh rates and how much of an impact do you think that has?
A lot.
Yeah, so like 60 hertz,
Honestly,
144 hertz, things like that.
yeah, like that 60 hertz from 144 is a big difference because it's just smoother, you know. It's so smooth. Like when I first started with 60 hertz and then switched to 140, 144, it was a really big difference. Like I saw it, and it like it's the big like the difference is so big. It actually took me a long time to get used to.
Oh,
It was yeah, and obviously the input it's less input delay, so
right.
you can react to things faster, especially in OSU. But the jump from 144 to 240 is not that big. I have I played also on a 240 hertz monitor before, and it wasn't. I really like. I didn't feel that noticeable difference.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously it's different for everyone, but
right.
I personally did not like feel that difference.
Yeah, I agree. In my own experience, I've tried a 240 monitor once, and like if you had told me that it was 144, I probably would have believed you.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, but between 60 hertz and 144, like, do you think it's necessary in order to be able to read higher ARs?
I mean, it's not necessary. Look at what's his name? FG Sky, for example. He uses a laptop, and I doubt his laptop is more than 60 hertz. So he's
Right,
a good example of you can still get at you can still get good at high R if you put in the time.
right,
But yeah, it's just I don't think I don't know what type of laptop he has, so I can't really judge. But
right. It's
um
probably 60. It's probably 60.
yeah, if it's 60, then yeah. But uh like the thing is, when I started with Osu, I started with 144. So
Oh, okay.
um yeah, so it was kind of. And like when you look back at like 60 hertz for example, like my second monitor is 60, and sometimes when I look at it, it just feels like 30 FPS. Like it feels completely different.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, that jump is definitely it's big. It's big, and I would recommend getting a 144 if you can.
Yeah, and
But
even probably like even for like if you're just on the computer a lot, I think it's just good.
it's just
Um,
good to have, yeah,
quality
for
of
other
life,
games.
right?
Yeah, for sure.
Um, all right. Okay, so another thing I want to ask is hidden versus non-hidden. Do you think there's a difference for high AR?
Yeah, personally, yeah. I think when I if I'm gonna play AR-11 or like what you consider high AR, I'm gonna always use hidden.
Okay.
But recently I've been doing DT only. I haven't been using hidden a lot. So I've been trying to adapt to different ARs with just DT only because like I feel like it's kind of harder because like you don't have that approach rate and everything is hidden. So like when you're using hidden with high AR, it's kind of just you know it's there, like the note is fading away, boom, you
Right.
can hit it. But then like with that hidden, you have the approach rate and like things coming
Like the
down.
approach
Like
circle, right?
it's yeah, or circle, yeah, sorry. It's so weird to like it's weird to explain, but it's just hidden is definitely a key point for it. It helps.
Okay, okay, valid, valid. Um,
Yeah.
there's something else I wanted to mention. Oh yeah, okay. So, I guess maintaining your um ability to read lower ARs while still improving high AR. Like, do you have any tips for that? Like, how are you still able to read lower stuff?
I'm not really good at really reading like well, what's considered low AR, you know? Like I don't know what's considered low. It's different for everyone, but for me, I would like it's usually ARA with DT. That's kind of hard for me. I never mastered it really. And what I would do sometimes is it's kind of a like I mean, if you're gonna practice ARA, don't do it. But if I'm gonna practice a low AR map, I'm gonna edit the AR to one that I'm comfortable with and a little higher, and then go back to the lower AR
Oh,
make
okay.
and do it because I know the rhythm and how like when things are gonna go down. So I know when to hit it, and that's how I usually do it. But honestly, I never mastered low AR like at all. I usually like for like the entire time I played, it was usually like AR9 plus DT and above is what
Oh,
like
interesting. Um, okay. So actually, I also wanted to ask because so basically, in order to get used to like the lower ARs again, you basically learn the map first with a higher AR that's more comfortable for you, and then
yeah.
go back down. So,
Uh-huh.
is there anything, and this is sort of a general question, like, is there anything that you focus on when reading a map? Like, do you focus mostly on the music or like the visual, like trying to read the circles as quickly as possible? Or what do you think you focus on most?
I like to think of the music because usually they're all the same. So actually no, if they're all no. I it's kind of mid like when I go to into a map, I usually think of the visuals and the patterns because realistically, a lot of the Osha songs are the same, so you sometimes know what's coming. It's just different patterns.
Right, that's true.
Yeah. So it's kind of weird because like yeah, it's more of a visual thing really. It's more of a visual thing.
Okay, so okay, next question. Do you okay, so when you were improving, actually, did you have any like inspirations for like wanting to get better at speedy stuff and high AR in particular?
High AR, it was Rafis. Rafis was the person that I that inspired me to play AR-11 and 3 mod and that type of stuff. In terms of speed, not really. I kind of I was really an aim player for the first couple of years. I usually just played aim, and then 2019 is where kind of like things kind of changed. I just thought speed was cool. Like hitting burst is really satisfying,
Right.
especially at higher BPM. And so I thought it was cool, and then I just kind of learned. I I um I kind of that was like my main focus until now.
Oh, I see, I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. I guess I think now probably seems like a good time to move to viewer questions. So, as a quick shout, do you want to sort of give a summary of should I just hit my table? What? A summary of like key takeaways or like things that you think people should really take from this interview. Although, okay, before you get into that, I want to tell the live viewers that now is the time to send in your questions over in the live chat in the Discord server. There's a text thread. Put your questions there, and we will spend some time going through them. And what we do is, if you can react, okay, so if you see someone else's message or question that you also want asked, if you could react to it with a thumbs up emoji, that way we can keep track of them. But yes, any key takeaways that you want to make sure people really get out of this interview?
Honestly, if an AR is high, too high for you, just don't be discouraged of not learning it, because it's a matter of time, really. It's a lot of patience. It's not easy to learn high AR, and I say high AR because it's obviously different for everyone. So any AR is like someone can consider AR9 high, someone consider AR11 high. Like it really depends on the person, but it's a lot of patience. It's definitely patience plays a role in it, and if you put enough time and dedication into it, you'll get it. It's the same thing with everything, but Air 11 just has that extra step because you actually have to memorize the map rather than like just grinding for the FC. Like it has multiple steps. You gotta play it through no fail and play to the map, and then constantly retrying and playing it again and again and again. So I think it's just patience, really. That's how I see it. Also, gamma's helpful. So if you need to, and I'm not saying like use gamma, but if you need to, you can use it.
Right. All right. Okay. The first question in the live chat from Joan, who asks, "Does working out help with speed?" Because I'm pretty sure I've heard Edward and Mr. Whole Wheat Pete talk about push-ups helping with speed.
Oh, no, not for me. I was a speed player before I started working out, so um it really like it wasn't really that much. Oh god. That's a question I get a lot, and I don't know how to answer that because I don't know. Like maybe, but the one thing I do say is that if you lift, do not lift for Osu. Lift for you. Because a lot of people, dude, I get a lot of DMs where people tell me, "Hey, I started lifting for Osu and I don't know why I'm not improving." Like I actually get that. And so if you're gonna lift, do not lift for Osu. That's just, it's like honestly, if you see improvement for Osu, it's probably just probably placebo. But going for the push-up thing, actually, maybe because you know, like your blood's pumped and like you're warm, like your body's like energized and you're ready to like do everything. So that could actually have a role, kind of like push-ups and like just doing like sit-ups, push-ups, like all these like exercises. But I cannot answer that. Like it's different for everyone, and like I don't know if it's actually true, so I can't really give you my advice on that. But you should lift though. It's
True.
go to the gym.
It's
Go to the gym.
underrated. It's wise.
It's hella underrated. People need to hit the gym.
All right. Okay. Next question from Metal Fire. So, when is the best time to start learning higher AR?
Uh, honestly, anytime. I feel like you can learn it at any time. You can learn it now if you want. Like, um, I feel like first though, just get the common key points down, like aim, finger, like at least like a little bit of aim, a little bit of finger control, and when you think you're settled with that, you can push yourself to high AR.
Right. I think fundamentals first, basically.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. Yeah. I think usually what I would tell people, and let me know if you agree or not, but it like at a certain point, it just comes down to what you want to be as a player. Like, if high AR stuff is something that really interests you, then you can just start learning high AR whenever you want, right? Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, if not, then just focus on other things that you like. So,
Mm-hmm.
yes. Next question from Cheeto. Do you notice a difference between AR 10.9 and AR 11? Important question.
10.9? That's a thing? Probably not. Um, Probably not actually. I don't think there is. I mean, That's a weird number. I don't really.
I think
I don't. I wouldn't think so.
probably what it's asking. So if you play a map that's AR7 with Hard Rock Double Time, it becomes like 10.87 or something. Because like AR
Oh.
9.8 DT.
Uh-huh. Yeah. No, I get it now. Yeah. Maybe. I've never really like tried that. Again, I'm like when I play DT and when I play 3 mod, I just go for AR11. I don't try like AR like those old maps that have like AR7 with 3 mod that have like the complex patterns. I'm not really sure. Maybe it has some impact.
Okay, next. Yes, yeah, I pretty much agree though. Um, but yes, okay, next interview or no, interview. What am I saying? Next question. Um, so okay, this is actually a good question. Is it ever too early to start learning high AR?
Uh, I don't think so. I mean, we kind of already answered that. I feel like it's just you gotta learn the fundamentals first, and whenever you feel comfortable with like learn the basics, basic finger control, basic like aim stuff, get that muscle memory, and then like kind of get the gist of how like maps are usually are in this game. But I don't think it's ever too early. It depends on you and how you feel about high AR like generally.
Yeah, and I would say that I mean high AR is also very relative, right? So if you're a very new player, like if you're really early into Osu, then I would probably say that like just getting into high AR for you is probably going to be like AR9, for
Yeah.
example. Like if you're really
Like if you're
starting out,
if you're a 6 digit, you don't want to learn AR11, or
right?
like a high 5 digit. Like that's when like that type of rank is when you learn those fundamentals and stuff like that. And then what like I think when you hit that like 4 digit or like you hit that sweet spot of I can play most stuff, then yeah, you can learn that.
Yes,
I think,
agreed,
yeah.
agreed.
It also depends on the person and their and how fast they improve at the game.
All right. Yeah, agreed, agreed. Uh, okay. Do you? Okay. So, question from Blue: do you believe speed feels easier and or different on higher or lower AR? And if so, what are the differences that you notice when playing? So, like, does BPM make a difference with or like what is it? Does speed feel different on different ARs? Basically, like the same
Nah,
BPM on different ARs.
nah, not really. It doesn't really. At least like for me, it doesn't really feel that significant of a difference. Um, what I will say is that space speed streams, like more spaced, like high BPM streams, could be a little harder just because it's harder to rate, obviously, and streams
On
get
higher
more
ARs,
space.
you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But I don't. No, not really.
Okay. Yeah, I would probably. Well, I guess it depends on the player. I think if you're too like not used to the high AR, like you don't have it memorized yet, then like you're gonna be spending so much of your energy trying to read that your speed's not gonna be as comfortable because you're just so
Right.
focused on reading the map. So
Yeah.
um yes, okay. So question from Baka Stars: would it be better to go right into AR11 or start a little under, like 10.5 or 10.7?
I would start a little under. If you haven't, well, unless you played 10.2, 10.3, then yeah. But I wouldn't like. I mean, you can, but I would learn those lower ones first, and then I would try and make my way up.
Right.
I think, yeah.
Um, okay, yeah. So earlier you were mentioning that like some ARs are sort of like basically the same to you. Um, so question from Toasty who asks, where is the line drawn between noticeable differences in higher ARs?
Honestly, 10.3 to Air 11 is that like I feel like that 10.3 or 10 10.5. Yeah, like it's I feel like 10.5 is the most because um not a lot like realistically if we're gonna play DT, not a lot of people are gonna play like 9.5 with DT. Like everyone's gonna stick to that 10.3, 10.2 like range. So it really depends on the person, but I think that 10.3, 10.4, 10.5 is where like I would like cross that line before you learn AR11.
Okay, so like basically 10.1, you would say, to like 10.5 is sort of
Yeah,
one
yeah,
range, and then
yeah,
10.6 to 11.
yeah. I would
Okay,
say like that. That's the range. Yeah.
okay. Um, all right. Okay, so how? Okay, how did you improve? There's a question from Umar. How did you start to improve high BPM at higher AR, like 10.3 260 BPM to 10.5 260 BPM, or did it just come naturally?
I think it came naturally. I never practiced that. I don't remember practicing that. I think I think yeah, I think it came naturally. That's
Okay.
hard. That's hard to answer. That's a good question.
Yeah, I think that's a valid answer though. I think like as you just keep improving and like pushing your mechanics, then it's just gonna happen that you just improve that way.
Mhm.
Okay, a question from Chewy CX who asks, "Is Mik Osu good for high AR?"
I've actually never played Mik Osu, but maybe yeah, because no luck reasons. But
Oh,
I've never like I've never even touched Mik Osu. I mean it's cool. It looks cool. I would love to try it someday. But yeah, I mean it's probably good just because there's no note lock and you have that freedom of just doing whatever you want with that AR. So
all right,
I would try doing that actually. Yeah, yeah. Play Mik Osu. Yeah,
all
that's
right,
probably a good way.
all right. So next question from Walla Voce. What do you think about underclocking your monitor for practice? Half serious, half curious.
Underclocking, huh? I've never gone in depth like that, you know? I've never really tried over or underclocking my monitor to do that. And I feel like that's kind of stupid. Like if you have a 144, you shouldn't underclock to learn that BPM or sorry, AR.
Well, I
It's just
think
it's just weird.
probably what it's asking is like it's basically like you're like training weights, so to speak, but for AR. Like you make it
Uh-huh.
harder than it really is, so that then you go back to like the normal like refresh rate.
Uh oh, actually yeah. Yeah, maybe it can help. Like if you have a 144 hertz monitor and you switch to like let's say like 75 hertz and try playing AR 11 on it, it might help. I'm not, that's a good theory or like a good
Right.
hypothesis. Is that how you say it?
I think it might help. It might be placebo, but even if it's placebo, it might still help, right? So like
Yeah,
whatever
maybe it
works,
can help. Yeah.
right?
That's the thing with this game. It's so objective. Like you don't like everyone's different.
Right.
It's just hard. Like it's hard to give it like advice when like you just gotta test things out. I feel like that's a general advice. Just like try different things out, see what works best for you.
Yeah, agreed. And definitely with that in mind, I want to also sort of clarify like these interviews are less about like giving correct answers. Like we're not here to objectify how you should play this game.
Uh huh.
This is a lot more about presenting different personal sides and experiences with improving different skills, so that you can take inspiration or like take like just sort of absorb all those different perspectives and um yeah, sort of apply what you think is valuable to your own gameplay, or basically just like give you ideas to experiment with on your own, and then from there see like what works best for you and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
So, all right, with that, next question from Zane. How hard would it be to try getting good with both high and low AR?
Uh, I mean you can, but I feel like I actually I took this as a personal advice because it happened it happened to me. But if you're gonna learn like a specific AR, take a couple weeks for example, don't if you're gonna like let's say practice AR 10 and you want to also do AR 8, don't like play AR 10 for a couple hours and switch to AR 8. You know, like give that certain AR a certain time, like for a couple of weeks, and once you think you've gotten comfortable, and then switch to like let's say like AR 8 to a lower AR, and then give that a couple of weeks just to like get like have that balance, you know, because like sometimes when I play AR 11 and I switch just HDDT in this like normal 9.3, it feels really weird sometimes if I'm doing that on the same day. So I feel like have that balance, like like give a couple of weeks like a certain AR, like a high AR, and then like after a couple more weeks do that low AR. Is how I see it, just to give that balance.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I agree. Definitely, I think the way that you start your session sort of dictates how the rest of that session is going to go also.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and on that topic, hey, it's a nice segue into the next question from Kenny, which is, what is your warm-up routine?
I literally just go straight into, like, first I start with just no mod stuff, and then when I'm feeling like I usually start with no mod maps just to give like the my hand like a warm up, like a small warm up, and then I usually have this collection. It's not really a collection. It's just like a set of maps that I play that are just higher BPM, and I just burst until I'm warm, until I feel like I'm warm enough to just like play other stuff. But yeah, I usually just play high burst stuff to warm up, like every time, almost every time.
Oh, so have you been using the same maps? Like, I guess, like, when did you choose those maps? That, like, I guess, how long have you been doing those specific maps to warm up with?
Since I wanted to kind of improve my stamina speed, which is when I generally started playing speed in 2019. I was like, um, people usually send me random like speed maps, and I like eventually it kind of just became this big pile of speed maps that I had, and so it became like all the maps are good warm up for me, and they all have different ranges of speed. So I usually just start from like 240 and make my way up every like time I try to get on the game. Like let's say some like there's for example like a B map pack that has like different speed stuff, and for example I try sometimes doing there's like a glorious crown to 40 BPM edit. I play that through, and then like I try and play every set of BPM to make sure I'm warm with it, and then I like play DT and other stuff. That's when I feel like I'm warm.
Oh, I see. So
Yeah,
you mostly go through the same like BPM ranges that you always have, and
yeah,
then
yeah,
you still sort of do other stuff that is like a lot harder after your warm up, right?
yeah. It also depends on the day. Like if I'm feeling I want to play A maps, I would try. There's like I think some people that are listening actually know about it. It's Skills Aim Collection. If you don't know about it, go to his Skills profile. He has like a sheet that you can download. It's a bunch of aim maps, but sometimes I use that like if I want to train aim, I would warm up with aim. If I want to play speed and train speed, I would play speed.
Right.
So it also depends on the day. It's a really good pack. I think you guys should download it or check it out. It really helped me, like genuinely. It actually like it's good. It's good practice. It's really good practice.
Right. And to clarify, the username of the person we're talking about is just the word skill, like
Yeah, it's
SKILL.
literally
Yeah.
just kill.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Next question from KHC. So can you read AR11 without follow points?
Oh nah, that's a little harder. I usually need follow points just so it gives me an idea of where the patterns are, because like I feel like my cursor would spaz out if I didn't have air 11 or sorry follow points. It would just be weird.
Do you think that I guess, like, how much do you think that follow points really help with high AR
I
in
think it helps
general?
a lot because you know where like the circles are, like you know when the next pattern is, so like you kind of know when to react or and where to react, so you get that kind of like advantage, I guess,
Right.
rather than having no follow points. You're literally sight reading even more than you are already
True.
if you're
Yeah,
sight reading.
that's true.
Yeah, so it's a little harder, I would say.
Do you feel like you focus on follow points?
I don't, but they're just there to make me comfortable for like it's really weird to explain, but they're good to have, but because like you just know where everything is. It's kind of structured kind of nicely, so I know where everything is, and I don't have to put extra thought into, oh, where's this pattern gonna be, like how is this gonna be like mapped out and stuff like that. So yeah, I always like to have follow points.
All right. Yeah, I kind of agree. Personally, my high AR skin has dense follow points. I think it helps a lot.
Yeah,
Um,
it's really good.
so do you know if you're okay? So question from Joan is: do you use normally animated follow points or the default speed follow points? Like, do you know if your um like follow points are like very dense or like
Oh,
not, or do you
I
not know?
I use the follow points that so in my Vaxi skin I use the ones that are in the Rafa skin. So whatever that one is what I use usually. I don't really know. But I know what you're talking about though. I
Right.
have used the animated there are some Nomad skins that have those and I don't like them personally. They're just, they feel really weird. They kind of throw me off a little bit because their input is higher, so like they don't fade away as fast, so it kind of throws me off a little bit. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
sometimes the animated stuff, like the animated follow points, kind of stay there for a little longer than like normal follow points, so like it feels it kind of throws me off a little bit. So I try to avoid that and just use like the normal like straight away follow points.
All right. So I think that sounds like a decent spot. Do you have any other recommendations or things that you think, um, or I guess, okay, I'll put it this way. Like, do you have things that you've tried in the past that helped with high AR, or like maybe you experimented with and it didn't actually help?
It didn't.
Yeah, I mean, just, yeah.
Um.
Are there any failed attempts in finding ways to improve?
Uh. I don't know. I don't think so actually. Like I feel like every way I approached a certain way of learning at high AR kind of worked for me, and it's all because I just took the general advice of how like of just using Rafiskin. I feel like Rafiskin is the way to go.
Let's go.
And yeah, I never really had failed attempts. I guess with I did say gamma helps earlier, but sometimes it doesn't really help that much. It kind of depends on the map, but um gamma sometimes kind of screws me over, and it like sometimes it never really helped me, but it does help. It's just not as much as you think it does.
Right. I know even before the interview started, you said that like gamma doesn't actually help for you.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like you can only do so much with gamma. That's a thing, and yeah, you can only do so much with that thing. So it's kind of it's really it's weird. It's weird, but other than that, I never really had any bad experiences with learning high ER. You just gotta take
Cool.
it step by step.
Right. So I guess as long as you keep training and practicing a lot, then you'll get there.
Yeah, I mean the famous play more
True.
quote. Yeah, you just gotta play more.
Okay. Actually, another question from KHZ is: would you recommend memorizing maps at first, or sight reading lots of different maps to learn AR11?
Um, Honestly, just memorizing it personally because the thing is with IR11, it's really hard to just normally sight read it unless you've played the map a lot with hidden and double time that you know what's coming. It's really hard to sight read it. So I would try and memorize a lot of maps, first instead of sight reading.
Yeah. I think the opinion. Okay, so there's definitely a difference in opinion, I guess. In what is it? Matrix sort of said the
Hmm.
opposite in his interview, that you want to just sight read as many maps as possible and expose yourself to different patterns. So interesting, interesting.
I mean,
But
yeah, that's a good point. I guess you can do that, but I mean, like at the end of the day, you gotta memorize everything. So you might as well try and memorize literally everything. Um, or sorry, no, let me rephrase that. At the end of the day, Air 11 is all memorization. It's really hard to actually like just comfortably play it like other ARs. So I mean, sight reading it is really hard. So I would try like to memorize a specific map, um, and work your way up. Is how I see it.
yeah, definitely both valid ways of approaching. But I'm glad to see that there's some differences in opinion, I guess, that people can, you know, it just sort of goes to show and just kind of illustrate that there are multiple ways to go about improving this game. Probably is the
Mhm.
bottom line. But
Yeah.
yes, okay. So with that, I think that mostly could wrap things up. So do you have any last shouts that you want to mention?
Uh, have good mental. Don't give up. That's what that's what I would say.
Agreed,
Don't give
especially
up.
for high AR. I think high AR can be really frustrating.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's really annoying to learn it. So
But
yeah, just have the patience, and results will come in no time.
let's go. And okay, with that, I also want to ask if anyone ever wants to reach out to you or follow your social media, anything like that. So where's the best place that people can find you?
So my Discord, the one I'm using right now is open DM, and I'm always on Twitter. I'm literally probably everyone knows I'm literally I'm on Twitter 24/7. So you can follow my Twitter at MightyDoc with a 0.
Right, so like Mighty D0C,
Uh,
pretty sure.
the O and the C, the O and the doc, it's 0.
Right, right.
Yeah, so you can catch me there.
All right, but yes, with that, thanks everyone for listening, and especially thank you, Mr. Mighty Doc, for joining us. That was a lot of fun. And yeah, to those who want to get more involved with these interviews and OC University as a whole, the best thing you can do is join our Discord server. And if you want to support our content, probably the best thing you can do is really just to share the word, spread these interviews and just OC University as a whole around to as many people as you can, whoever you think might appreciate it. But yeah, with that, that's going to wrap things up. And definitely, if you enjoyed this interview, check out the other ones that we've done, um, either on our YouTube channel or our Spotify. You can check those out. And those of you listening live, stay tuned tomorrow for an interview with Rafis, also on High AR. So yes, that will be at 17 UTC. But yeah, thanks for
That's gonna be a
listening.
cool one.
Yeah, I'm super excited. But
Yeah,
yeah, these have all been really really insightful, I would say. So much appreciated for you joining me today, and yeah, I'll see you guys next time.